Bonjour, French 1 students. Here is your teaching video for Unité 3 Images, page 124 to 133 in your book. Again, you will need to follow along in your textbook. S'il vous plaît, ouvrez vos livres à la page 124. À l'école en France, bonjour Nathalie. Bonjour, je m'appelle Nathalie Aubin. J'ai 15 ans et j'habite à Savy-sur-Orge avec ma famille. Savy est une petite ville à 20 km au sud de Paris. J'ai un frère, Christophe, 17 ans, et deux sœurs, Céline, 13 ans, et Florence, 7 ans. Mon père est programmeur, il travaille à Paris. Ma mère est dentiste, elle travaille à Savy. Je vais au lycée Jean-Baptiste Corot, je suis élève des secondes. Et vous? Nathalie. So, hello, Natalie. And this whole section of Image is about school in France. Hello, my name is Natalie Aubin. I'm 15 years old and I live in Savy-sur-Orge with my family. Savy is a small town 20 kilometers south of Paris. I have a brother, Christopher, who's 17 years old, and two sisters, Celine, 13 years old, and Florence, 7 years old. My dad is a programmer, like a computer programmer. He works in Paris. My mother is a dentist. She works in Savy. I go to Jean-Baptiste Corot High School. I'm a student of second grade, which is like a sophomore or junior in high school. And you, Natalie. Les photos de Nathalie. Voici ma famille. Ma mère, ma sœur Céline, moi, mon père, mon frère Christophe et ma sœur Florence. Voici ma maison. C'est une maison confortable, mais ce n'est pas un château. Voici mon école. Le lycée Jean-Baptiste Corot est dans un château. So here's my family. My mother, my sister Celine, me, my father, my brother Christopher, and my sister Florence. Here is my house. It's a comfortable house, but it's not a castle. Here is my school. Jean-Baptiste Corot High School is in a castle. Le lycée Jean-Baptiste Corot. The lycée Jean-Baptiste Corot is located in Savy-sur-Orge, a small town about 12 miles south of Paris. Like many French schools, it is named after a famous French person. Jean-Baptiste Corot was a 19th century painter, remembered especially for his landscapes. The lycée Jean-Baptiste Corot is both old and modern. It was created in the 1950s on the grounds of a historical castle dating from the 12th century. The castle, which serves as the administrative center, is still surrounded by a moat. The lycée itself has many modern facilities, which include les salles de classe, classrooms, la cantine, cafeteria, le stade, stadium, et le terrain de sport, playing field. L'école secondaire en France. Okay, so secondary school in France. There are two types of secondary schools in France. Le collège, which corresponds to the U.S. middle school, grades 6 to 9. Le lycée, which corresponds to the U.S. high school, grades 10 to 12. So, again, in France, 9th grade is part of the middle school instead of being part of the high school. On the following chart, you will notice that each grade, une classe, is designated by a number, as in the United States. Sixième, cinquième, quatrième, etc. However, the progression from grade to grade is the opposite in France. The secondary school begins in France with sixième and ends with terminale. So we have école, le collège, classe sixième, cinquième, quatrième, troisième, âge des élèves 11 à 12 ans, 12 à 13 ans, 13 à 14 ans, 14 à 15 ans, and equivalent 6th grade, 7th grade, 8th grade, and 9th grade. Le lycée seconde première and terminale. 15 à 16 ans, 16 à 17 ans, 17 à 18 ans, 10th grade, 11th grade, and 12th grade. So when Natalie says she's in 10th grade or in seconde, she's the equivalent of being in 10th grade. A student, un or un élève, who does not do well in a given grade has to repeat that grade the next year. This is called redoubler. About 50% of the French students are kept back at least once during their secondary school studies. At the end of high school, French students take a two-part national examination called le baccalauréat, or le bac for short, which they have to pass in order to enter the university. So le bac is like their college entrance test. The first part, which focuses on the French language, is administered at the end of première. So the first part is taken at the end of about 11th grade. The second part, which is given at the end of terminale, offers students over 20 options reflecting their area of specialization. So typically French students go to specialized high school depending on what career they're planning on. So if they're thinking about a health career or a science career, they might go to a special science high school. Only 75% of the students who take the bac in a given year pass the exam. Of those who are successful, about 85% continue their studies either at the university or at a specialized professional school. Since education in France is considered a responsibility of the government, tuition is free at all public universities. So they don't have to pay to go to college, but it's hard to get into college, right? Only 3 of 4 people actually pass the test, the bac, and then of that, only about 85% go to college. Des élèves vous parlent, so the students speak to you. David Suliac, 14 ans. J'habite à Bergerac, une petite ville dans le sud-ouest de la France. Je suis élève de 4e au collège Jacques Prévert. Là, j'étudie l'anglais et l'espagnol. So David, who's 14. I live in Bergerac, a small town in the southwest of France. I'm a student of the 4th grade, so that would be 8th grade, at Jacques Prévert Middle School. There I study English and Spanish, so his specialty are languages. Antoine Rousseau, 14 ans. J'habite à Paris. Je suis élève au collège Jeanine Manuel. C'est un collège international. J'aime les maths et les sciences. Je voudrais être pilote comme mon père. So Antoine, who's 14, I live in Paris. I am a student at Jeanine Manuel Middle School. It's an international middle school. I like math and science. I would like to be a pilot like my dad. So an international school means that it's not necessarily, there aren't necessarily a lot of French students there. There could be, but it's a school that's designed for, right, Paris is the capital of France. There are a lot of people from all different countries of the world living in Paris. And so this is a school that would be designed kind of specifically for their students, their children. Pauline Lescruc, 16 ans. Je suis élève de première au lycée scolaire à Fort-de-France-en-Martinique. J'étudie les sciences. Je veux être médecin. Je voudrais aller à l'université à Paris, mais d'abord, je dois être reçu au bac. So Pauline, who's 16, I'm a student of 11th grade at the Scolaire High School in Fort-de-France in Martinique. I study science. I want to be a doctor. I would like to go to university in Paris, but first, I must pass the bac. Le programme scolaire, so the school curriculum. At the middle school, au collège, all French students take certain required subjects, des matières obligatoires. In quatrième, for instance, these subjects include French, math, one foreign language, history and geography, science, sciences de la vie et de la terre, life and earth sciences, and art. Depending on their preferences and career plans, they can also choose among a certain number of electives, des matières facultatives. Many opt for a second foreign language, une langue. Here is a list of subjects taught in French middle schools. Note that no school offers all the languages listed, but most schools offer 3 or 4. How many of the subjects can you identify? So, matière obligatoire, right? These are the required subjects. Français, maths, première, langue moderne, histoire, géographie, physique, chimie, sciences de la vie et de la terre, technologie, éducation civique, éducation physique et sportive, art plastique, éducation musicale. So these are required of all students. French, math, a foreign language, history, geography, physics and chemistry, life and earth science, computers, civics, PE, art, and music. Every student in France in a middle school takes those classes. Matières facultatives, these are those electives. Latin, grec, deuxième langue moderne. So Latin, Greek, a second modern language. In the last column, langue moderne, these are the modern languages. Allemand, anglais, arabe, espagnol, hébreu, italien, portugais, russe. So German, English, Arabic, Spanish, Hebrew, Italian, Portuguese, and Russian. L'emploi du temps de Nathalie. Nathalie Aubin est en seconde au lycée Jean-Baptiste Corot. Voici son emploi du temps. So Natalie is in the 10th grade at Jean-Baptiste High School. Here is her schedule. Okay, so lundi, mardi, mercredi, jeudi, vendredi, and samedi. Right, remember French students, middle school students get Wednesday afternoons off, but they go to school Saturday mornings to make up for it. So we have lundi, histoire, anglais, sport français, sciences, vie et terre, géographie, physique. Mardi, allemand, français, latin, maths, anglais. Mercredi, anglais, informatique, maths. Jeudi, informatique, physique, maths, allemand, sport. Vendredi, allemand, latin, sciences, vie et terre. Samedi, français, latin, histoire ou civilisation. Okay, and informatique is computer science. So compare Natalie's schedule with an American student in the same grade 10th. You may want to make a chart. Number of classes per week. How many different classes does Natalie have on her schedule? She has 12. Allemand, anglais, français, latin, physique, sciences, vie et terre, informatique, maths, civilisation, géographie, histoire, et sport. Number of foreign languages that she is taking. 3. Anglais, allemand, latin. Right? Remember, French isn't a foreign language for her. So English, German, and Latin. Number of hours per week for sports. 2. So again, their schedule is pretty different than an American schedule. Alright, expression pour la classe, le professeur dit. And again, these are different. The left column is if a teacher is speaking to just one student. The right column is if the teacher is speaking to the entire class. So we have regarde, écoute, parle, répondre, and regardez, écoutez, parlez, répondez. Répète, lis, écris, prends une feuille de papier, un crayon, ouvre ton livre, la porte, ferme ton cahier, la fenêtre, viens, va, lève-toi, assieds-toi, apporte-moi, donne-moi, montre-moi ton devoir. Répétez, lisez, écrivez, prenez, Ouvrez, fermez, venez, allez, levez-vous, asseyez-vous, apportez-moi, donnez-moi, montrez-moi. And they tell you what they mean right there. Quelques objets. S'il vous plaît, répétez un crayon, un stylo, un morceau de craie, un livre, un cahier, une feuille de papier, un devoir, un sac, un bureau, un tableau, une chaise, une table, une porte, une fenêtre, une carte. So we have a pencil, a pen, a piece of chalk, a book, a notebook, a piece of paper, a homework, a bag, a desk, a chalkboard, a chair, a table, a door, a window, and a map. Lastly, you see some things that you might say. S'il vous plaît, répétez je sais, je ne sais pas, je ne comprends pas, que veut dire, comment dit-on en français. Your homework is practice for the reading comprehension portion of your test. Workbook pages 81 through 88. On the first page, you're just looking at the ads or information they've given you and choosing the correct answer. In the second one, again, you're looking at this card that's here and then answering the questions that are underneath. The next one, you're reading this conversation and then answering the questions. Here, you're reading these two invitations and then answering the questions, and then writing a little note about whether you accepted or turned down you have to turn down the invitation. Au revoir. À demain.